Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Suffolk Business School live session tonight. We thought that we would have a chat with everybody about some of the things you need to know about studying in the Suffolk Business School. We're planning on being live for about 30 minutes. We've got a few things we want to cover. First of all, we'll do some introductions and then talk a bit about teaching and assessment methods, find out about practical experiences in guest lectures and also about accreditations. But please feel free to ask questions as we go along. You can ask questions about anything you want about studying in the Suffolk Business School and also about studying at the University of Suffolk. So we'll start off with some introductions. I'm Karen Hinton. I'm Head of Student Recruitment at the University of Suffolk. I'm also an MBA graduate from the Suffolk Business School. So if anybody's got any postgrad questions, I'm always happy to help with some of those. But this session is not about me. It's about the guys that you can see on the screen. So I'll get them all to introduce themselves. Fran, would you like to go first?
Hi, I'm Fran Hyde. I'm Deputy Dean of Suffolk Business School, and I'm also a lecturer in marketing. So I teach marketing on the first and the third year, and I also teach some at postgraduate level.
Excellent, thank you. Suzanne?
Hi, so I'm Dr. Suzanne Albrio. I use she, her pronouns. I am the course leader for the BA Honours Business Management programme. And I also teach on the research methods module, and I teach a little bit on the MBA as well.
Excellent, thank you, Suzanne. And Theo?
Yeah, sure. So hi, I'm Theo. I'm a third year student now studying computing and business management. I've been working as a student ambassador since October last year now, which has just flown by really. And I graduate in April.
Wow, I bet the whole 3 years have really flown by, Theo.
It has, yeah. It's just flashed by. I know.
Well, we'll find out more about your experiences as we go along and possibly about your plans for the future. I'm going to start off with teaching and assessment methods. So lots of our applicants will have been receiving emails from us recently about block and blend, and some might still be waiting for that email to come to explain it, but we often talk about block and blend delivery as quite an innovative and quite an exciting way of studying at university. So I'm interested for us to start off with a little bit of discussion about what that's actually like and what it means. Suzanne, would you like to start on the block and blend discussion? What actually is it?
So block and blend is a really kind of quick and easy way of discussing quite a complex and quite an involved way that we deliver our teaching here at the University of Suffolk, particularly in the Suffolk Business School. We've been doing it for a couple of years now. And it means that we take, as a student, you'll take one module or one topic at once, and you'll study it in depth over the course of 5 weeks. And then you'll do your assessment for that module, and then you'll move on to your next module, your next topic. So that's why we call it the block, because you do blocks of 5 weeks and you do 6 of those across a year. And that allows you to really kind of get into a subject and really kind of immerse yourself in it. And then so you're not kind of trying to juggle multiple topics all at once. And then you kind of build on them throughout the year. So you can think of them as building blocks as well for your year. The blend comes in that we use our really nice online learning environment called Brightspace, and we deliver both online and in-person on campus content, sort of between kind of lectures and videos and podcasts and quizzes and things online, and then our seminars and our discussions on campus. But also the blend refers to what we call both synchronous and asynchronous learning, which is synchronous is where you're in person in a classroom or online face-to-face with people at the same time. You're doing stuff all at the same time. And then what we call asynchronous learning is where you can go away and do some stuff in your own time. Maybe watch some videos, listen to those podcasts, do some reading, answer some questions, and then come back for that kind of synchronous discussion later on.
Fascinating. And I guess, Theo, I'd really like to ask you now about the online learning environment, because everybody will know that over the pandemic, there was this real move to just studying online. And now we're back on campus. As Suzanne was saying, we've got that kind of combination of virtual learning versus campus learning. What kind of things have you been doing on the online learning environment as part of your course?
Yeah, no, so obviously the pandemic hit when I was in my second year, sort of last year, and some of the first year, so that obviously massively affected it. And that obviously all went online, and everything, I had sort of just online lectures, and I definitely found it different. You couldn't sort of go out and socialize as much with other people on your course, because on the sort of lectures you just sort of have the chat and it's not the same really. So and I just found the online lectures sort of a completely different experience. It was just sort of, for me, it was quite boring really, because it wasn't as interactive, and I just couldn't sort of concentrate as much. So yeah.
And do you find that kind of the combination, kind of doing both now, so having some of the online tasks like Suzanne was talking about versus the physical activity on campus, is that working well for you as a balance?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the best way, to have sort of an interactive bit and then an online bit as well is nice, because there's benefits for both really. Sort of online, you obviously don't have to travel in, but then, like I say, it's not sort of interactive and it can sort of go on.
Cool, thanks. Fran, how are you finding it working across the business school?
Yes, I think it was really interesting, Theo's comments about that, online can be quite boring and passive. And I think that's something that everybody in education has really reflected on in the last 2 years, because we've had to learn a lot quite quickly about how to make online interesting. And I think that for lots of people who might be listening to this, they've had a lot of sitting watching screens, and maybe their schools and colleges have been closed. And I think that it's good to reassure people that primarily, we're looking to give people an on-campus experience, and we'll scaffold that with blended learning. But actually, primarily, University of Suffolk is about being on campus, and as Theo said, being involved in kind of interactive things. I think students need to be very clear, or people, if they're looking at courses, if it's 100% online, then it will be 100% online. But that's definitely not what, unless there was another lockdown where we are told how we have to behave by the government, we will be, primarily on campus, and we've really listened to students and working with making that element of online as seamless and integrated into the whole learning experience as possible.
Excellent. Apologies for barking dogs in the background. That's mine who woke up when we started doing this. Fran, do you mind just picking up then a bit on the assessment side of things? So again, that kind of online versus physical. What's happening in terms of exams, assessments? How do students in the business school tend to be assessed?
Yeah, thanks, Karen. So during the pandemic, a lot of assessments had to be adapted to be able to be accessed online, and in fact some of them are going to stay that way. So for example, some of our exams will remain time-controlled assessments. We don't have very many exams, but in some courses, for example accounting and financial management, to get the accreditation, there need to be exams. Some of those will be time-controlled assessments, some will be face-to-face. But really, in the business school, we try to do unusual assessments which meet the criteria that we need, but actually give students the example of a real-life scenario. So we have quite a lot of presentations. Some of those are face-to-face. Some of them are also online. So we actually have an ability to record students and they can submit, which is a good preparation for assessment centres and things that you might do when you've graduated, where you will actually probably do your first interview online. So we're giving people that experience. But then you might also do a podcast, a vlog. There's all sorts of different assessments. I'm sure Suzanne can probably add in some that I've forgotten.
Go on then, Suzanne. What other ones are we? And I feel like I'm aware there's something simulated exercise or something as part of the courses as well.
Yeah, so we're really excited that on a number of our modules we use some simulation software called Simventure. So one of the things we're really excited about in Suffolk Business School is our enterprise and entrepreneurship education strand that runs through all of our degrees, really helping students kind of set up for whatever kind of work they want to go into, but particularly if they want to focus on setting up their own business, they can. And the simulation software we have called Simventure allows our students to work in groups and individually to set up scenarios, set up businesses, model how businesses are actually run, dealing with some of the challenges, dealing with kind of emergency stuff that might come up, having a budget, sorting out your marketing, and sort of modeling and practicing how a business runs throughout the course of a module or a year or whatever. And then reflecting on that, and then at the end we give some prizes out about sort of the best business, the business that made the most money. This is all monopoly money, so not real money, unfortunately, but the prizes are real, so that's the important thing. And so that allows us to not only to assess the students, but the students to actually practice what they're doing. So, for example, our final year students at the moment have input, who are on this module, have input the businesses that they want to set up later in life. And they're able to actually model that business in that module and develop their understanding of how that business is going to run and how viable it is, or how much investment they need, and all of this sort of thing. And they're really enjoying that. They're kind of, there's some really interesting businesses coming out of that at the moment.
I can imagine. And is that something that's kind of really, I mean, it must just give students such an amazing experience in terms of understanding what it's going to be like to be in the world of business. I mean, the feedback must be brilliant from it.
Yeah, it really is. So, for example, we've got one student on there at the moment who I was having a conversation with. Her business is already up and running, but what she's doing is modeling, expanding and developing it and kind of taking it to the next level. And she's getting some really interesting kind of feedback from the system, but also when she does the final kind of pitch for that at the end of the module, we've got actual real life entrepreneurs and people who have set their own business up in the room for that pitch. They'll be able to give her some feedback about what that, how viable that looks, what she might want to think about in terms of improving and all of that kind of stuff. So not only is she getting her degree and her credits for her module, which is really important, and she's learning all of these really interesting skills, but she's getting practical information that she can apply to her business once she's graduated.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you, Suzanne. We've had a question from Sarah in about the support that's available from both lecturers and learning services. Fran, would you like to take that one for us, please?
Yeah, so it's a really important question, and I'm glad to see that you're asking this, because it is important to find out before you arrive what will be there to help you. So you'll have a course leader, you'll have module leaders, and then we also have a whole team of people who are there to support you in terms of academic skills. And then also we have the student centre, where you can find all sorts of other help on everything from finance to mental health support, or basically anything. And I think from my experience of being at this university and perhaps other universities, what I would say is University of Suffolk, the support is really there and people are there, and if you go and ask somebody, they will come back to you, they will help you. And that's really important, because things will happen, unexpected things, and anything from not maybe understanding an assessment brief to actually needing some help because perhaps your laptop's broken and you're looking to see if there's any finance to help you. We also have a new initiative where, which Suzanne I know can talk about, which is a personal academic coach, which is something which is really different at University of Suffolk.
Excellent. Suzanne, do you want to take a moment on the personal academic coach, and then we shall move on to our next section?
Yeah, just really quickly, that whenever every student who comes into the university is assigned a personal academic coach, what we call PAC, and that is someone that will see you through your degree experience. They're normally an academic, and they're someone who's there to help support you in kind of like the questions that you might have around your subject, or the questions you might have around your course, but they also take what we call a coaching approach to that. So rather than just give you a whole bunch of information that you then need to process, they help you work through those problems and work through any kind of challenge you have and find solutions that really suit you. And I think that's one of the kind of really key things about it, because it's not every solution that works for everybody, and not every kind of answer is the right answer for everybody. So the personal academic coach is really there to make sure that every student gets the support and information they need and that is most effective for them.
I've been involved in working with student ambassadors for years at the University of Suffolk, and it's amazing how often they talk about the fact that they feel like they're known at the university, that their lecturers know who they are and kind of offer them support as they need it, but also challenge them to, you know, academically achieve what they're able to achieve. And that's what it's about as well, isn't it? It's not just about general support, it's about challenging as well. And that's such an important part of what we do at Suffolk. Theo, I'm desperate to bring you in now because I'd like to kind of move us into the practical experiences, guest lectures and things. What kind of businesses have you been hearing from within your course at Suffolk?
What kind of businesses?
Yeah, just kind of what kind of insights are you getting into the real world of business while you go through your course?
Oh yeah,
guest
sure,
lectures, that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, there's been sort of a couple. There's been sort of mentioned, obviously, now that I'm on my third year, there's been quite a few sort of graduate jobs mentioned. There's actually been one on my, I don't know if you know the lecturer, Jan Wilcox. She knows someone at Push Investment Group. That's quite a good one that she's recommended, and sort of a graduate job there, an internship. So that's pretty handy, really. And also at the moment, I'm doing like this Entrepreneurship Forge course that they're running. And that's sort of, Heldy's doing that, and she's sort of brought in a load of speakers for local businesses. And there's loads of opportunities to sort of network with different businesses. So there's quite a few, really, yeah.
Brilliant. And dare I ask what you're thinking about doing when you finish with us?
Yeah, it's a tough question. At the moment, yeah, I'm just looking at graduate jobs. I think on my course, I definitely prefer like the business side compared to the IT side. So I'm looking at sort of like business analysis sort of jobs, like project management and stuff. Yeah, so
brilliant.
Yeah, it's come around so quickly, really. So
yeah, it comes around too quickly, doesn't it? All of a sudden, you've got to start making plans.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, Fran, I'll bring you back in if that's all right, because obviously in the business school we've got some great employment stats because our students do go on and get jobs afterwards. And I think events management as a course area is probably a key one because there's quite a lot of practical experience, isn't it? What kind of events do those students tend to get involved in through the course?
Yeah, so it's a very timely question, Karen, because they're actually the events and management students are actually at the events show today in London. So they, and in fact, that I think this is the third or fourth trip they've done so far this academic year. So as soon as we could, because of lockdown restrictions being in place for the last 2 years, we've had the students out and about. And if you do events and management, they try to ensure that there's a trip on every single module. So on every module, you're actually leaving the university and going anywhere from, you know, just maybe locally to somewhere like Felixstowe to up to Greenwich, or even further. And so that's a really important part of the course. So taking the students out to do things, and if you're joining the course, you'd be involved in that. And the trips are priced, you know, to be affordable, and if not, there is help available. So we really want all students to be able to go on the trips, and they're organised to be as helpful as possible to people. If you've got arrangements, you're told far in advance, so you could organise childcare or whatever it is. And then I think going back to something that Theo was saying, we bring people into the modules. So whether we're bringing them in on a screen or we bring them in, we bring people, practitioners, people that are actually working in the business. So for example, last week on one of my marketing modules, we brought somebody in from a big advertising agency in Suffolk, and he talked to the students about some work he was doing. And I think it was a really interesting session because it was actually happening now. It was a live client he was working on.
That's brilliant, thank you. We've had a question from Natasha about the specific types of events that students would be organising as part of the events management course. Are you able to pick that one up, Fran?
Yes, so actually yesterday, as people might know, was International Women's Day, and we had an event at the Hold, which is an exhibition centre and archive as well, and teaching space just on our campus that we joint own with Suffolk County Council. And one of our events and management students was involved in organising that event. We also, where there are festivals running on the quay side, we normally have students working there. And so, you know, there's those projects. We've also had students at Suffolk Business School running our social media accounts for the last 2 years. So rather than us do that, or somebody in our marketing team, we've with supervision, we've supported students to do it. So on their CVs, they can actually say they've actually had the experience of running an account, which I think for Twitter, LinkedIn, and now Instagram has been really helpful.
Brilliant, thank you. And Suzanne, we've had a question in from Tom about what you actually study on a business management course. What kind of things would you say are the kind of key aspects that students would be doing on that course?
So business management is our kind of more broad-based program in the Suffolk Business School. We've also got accounting and finance, and we've got events and tourism management, and we've got marketing management. But business management kind of covers a little bit of everything, which gives students a really good baseline to go into a really wide range of careers when they're finished with us. So in the first year, for example, you're gonna pretty much cover all of the big things in business management. So you're gonna do management and managing, which is like an introduction to management course. You do an introduction to marketing course. You do understanding the entrepreneurial spirit, which is kind of an intro to entrepreneurship. Accounting, you do a little bit of business and economics. It's not scary economics, it's kind of practical economics. And project management. So you get a really broad baseline from which you can then build on in your second and final year. And that allows you also to take some options in your particularly your final year, where you do a project, or you can take this big enterprise module where you set your own business up. And you can take kind of options around whether you want to kind of specialize in marketing or finance or that kind of thing. So you take a kind of a good range, and then you get the option to kind of really specialize it, particularly in your final year. So when you've had a chance to kind of figure out what the kinds of things you enjoy doing.
Brilliant. And I was just about to go on to accreditations, and very happily Jane has asked about the ILM badge that she can see on the website. Can you explain a little bit about what accreditations are? Suzanne, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of our courses in the business school have a professional accreditation, and the ones that don't, it's because the course leaders sit on like the working groups that are creating the professional accreditations, which is really exciting. And basically what a professional accreditation is that not only are you coming out of your course with a degree, but you're coming out with a professional qualification. So a qualification from a body or an organization that specifically deals with and supports training and development in that professional area of specialism. So in the business management course, we have the certificate, the level 5 certificate in leadership and management, which is our professional qualification. So you'll come out with your degree and this level 5 certificate, which means that an independent organisation, a professional body, has looked at our course and gone, you cover all of the needed necessary information and topics and assignment styles and things that you need to be practically qualified to do the job. And that's where not only are you coming out with your academic qualification, but you're coming out with something kind of professionally relevant as well.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you. Perfect answer to that question, and perfect timing for that question to come in as well. We're now drawing towards the end of our session, so I do have a final question for you all, but just to note for everybody listening that if you do want to find out more about studying in the Suffolk Business School or about studying at the University of Suffolk in general, we have our next open event on Saturday the 9th of April, so it's an event running from 9:30 till 2:30. A great opportunity to come and speak to some of our student ambassadors, talk to our academics, hear some presentations about our courses, and also have a look around the campus as well. And we do have a brilliant virtual tour of the campus on our website, but it's always nicer to come in and have a look in person. And you can keep in touch with what's going on at the university, obviously through all social media options, so LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you are just now, you can keep in touch with us, but also all the other ones as well. And there's lots of really interesting stuff going on in TikTok at the moment as well, so make sure you follow us on TikTok. So my last question for you guys, unless any kind of final questions comes in from those watching, is really just to get a final top tip from you for students who are preparing to join us this autumn. We may well have some students watching us who are thinking about applying next year, but let's focus on starting this September. What would you say that our students, our applicants, should be doing to get themselves ready? Theo, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So the main thing for me, my tip would be to sort of plan ahead, really, as you should do with most things. The amount of difference that you can sort of get from starting it sort of a month or two earlier is just massive, really. And I've found that with my sort of assignments and various other things.
Good. You're living your own tips. That's good.
Yeah.
That's what we like.
Yeah.
Great. Fran?
I think my tip would be for people at the moment who are doing assessments and maybe haven't had assessments because of COVID. You know, I'm sure they're going to go really well and everything will work out just as you want. But if things are unexpected, either you do better than you expected or maybe you don't do as well, then, you know, pick up the phone and talk to the universities you were looking at, because it's going to be a kind of crazy year because we just haven't had normal assessments. So please don't worry, just do your best and then pick up the phone or get in touch with people when you know what your results are.
Great, thanks, Fran. Suzanne?
So I would say that one is keep an eye on your emails, because it's really easy to kind of forget to check them, but actually a lot of our communications come through your email or through post. And in that information that we send you, there's always a point of contact. So there's always someone you can get in contact, whether that be the course leader for the course you're applying for or the admissions team. And I think that my top tip is to keep an eye on that, so that when you do have questions, you know who to contact, or you know you've got a point of contact that you can get in touch with us. We absolutely really value people asking us questions, because we'd rather you ask and us be able to give you that information than you kind of worry about it. So yeah, keep an eye on your emails and figure out and find your point of contact.
Great, well done. That's it. Yeah, I would add to that. There are no stupid questions when it comes to preparing for getting started at uni, because anything that helps you know what you're doing and when is really, really helpful. And in terms of keeping on top of emails, you'll tend to hear from us around June time about what happens next in terms of enrolment and induction. So that's a really important time to keep on top of your emails to see what's going on. And for those of you who'll be looking for on-campus accommodation, just make sure you apply for your accommodation and kind of find out about your options as well early enough, so you don't feel like you're pressured into making decisions. But that's been a really interesting session, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks to those of you who asked some questions. Apologies, there was a couple that we probably didn't get to, but it's been really great to be hearing from you today. Keep in touch with us, as I said, through all the social media options, and come and see us when you can, because we're quite a friendly bunch, and the university is an amazing place to come and have a look around. It's a beautiful campus, and we're excited to be getting people back into the university again. So good luck, everybody. Keep in touch, and we shall see you again soon. Thank you.